By the way, this is getting a live stream in the webcasting, and this is stored in the live stream. Not only this, all my talks are being stored there, plus several other talks also, but one can listen to this, or you can even communicate others. And all my other talks in the Panchadasi Kathopanishad are also there in that live stream. One can tap Atma Bodha. And recently when I went to India for a short visit, this is being funded by one businessman in Hyderabad, and the girl Anjali, she's in Chennai. She used to come every day, almost 5 days, the weekdays, and record series of talks, and we gave introduction to Vedanta. There are almost like 60 talks, and each one is 20 minutes, because according to them, people's attention after 20 minutes will not be there. So if you go to that website, this is www.livestream.com, Advaita _Sadaji. I think that's right. Is that right? Okay. So if you do that, then you can see. So www.advaita and live stream and Advaita _Sadaji. There are about 80-90 videos are there. So it's stored also, though one can leisurely listen. Apparently, it's a lot of people. There are like 1 million people or million minutes are there recorded. Visions already. So it is being utilized by many people outside this class. So in that sense, that's why we're recording. So in fact, he wants me to do a lot of textbooks, sitting at home and doing myself recording. But anyway, we'll see. But that's going on, just for the information. Okay, let's see what the questions are here. My Muslim friend made a comment about Draupadi having 5 husbands. How can you explain her in philosophical way? Wow. I wish I am Draupadi to ask that question. You know, when my daughter asked that, when my daughter was very small, she was only about 3 years old, I was teaching her about, the night time, all the stories. And she asked me the same question. How come Draupadi has 5 husbands? And I told her because she wants to buy a lot of saris. Because she understood that. So she used to tell everybody, you know why Draupadi married? Because she can buy a lot of saris, because his husband will buy a lot of saris. So I think that's all the answer I can give here. That's a story explaining where all the 5 Pandavas stand for the righteousness. That's why Krishna is supporting. Wherever the Pandavas are, Dharma is there. Wherever Dharma is, Krishna is there. So in the story of Mahabharata, both Arjuna and Duryodhana, they go to request the Krishna to be on their side. And Duryodhana goes first. And being a proud fellow, he sits, there's a chair, because Krishna, he knows both are going to come. So he pretends as if he's sleeping. And Duryodhana sits in the chair next to him. Because he says, I am a king, after all, why should I sit anywhere else? And Arjuna comes and sees Krishna and sees Duryodhana there. He stands near the feet with the folded hands. So obviously when Krishna opens his eyes, he sees Arjuna first. So Arjuna, you have come, Duryodhana says, I came first. Because he wants to make sure that he knows why Arjuna also is there. Okay, you came first and I saw him first. So both have equal rights. But Arjuna being small guy, younger guy, you should ask first. So that's how Krishna's logic is. And he divides the whole thing. I am one side, all these Yadava army is on the other side. They will fight, but I don't fight. That's all requirements. Now choose what you want. You want me who doesn't fight, or you want other army you can fight. So Arjuna, the real thinks, why do I need him if he doesn't fight? Another mouth to feed unnecessarily. But he was worried if Arjuna is going to take Yadava army. But Arjuna said, I don't need anybody to fight. If you are there, I can fight anything. That's all I need. So I want you. So I don't fight at all. Yes, it doesn't matter. You don't need fight. You just give me, you just be my Parthasarathi, I will fight. If you are there, I can fight anything. That's Arjuna's confidence. Duryodhana was so happy that Arjuna didn't select. And he goes with all the army, and then how foolish Arjuna is, and all that he's going to declare. Anybody comes there, how foolish Arjuna is, he wanted to tell. And he tells that to Bhishma. He said, he is not a fool, you are the fool. Because wherever Krishna is, that's where the victory is. Wherever Krishna is going to be, where dharma is. And that's where the victory is going to be. Now why all that related to Draupadi? Because apparently Draupadi is in the past life, she made a tapas. She wants a husband. I don't know why people want to do husband to do tapas for that. But she wanted a tapas to Lord Shiva, and she requested a type of husband who is most dharmic and most very, very strong and the greatest archer, and is the most beautiful, and also is I don't know what the fourth Devas is. So anyway, those 5 requirements he asks. He says, Shiva says, impossible. All those things cannot be in one person. He said, I say, you are God, after all you can give. But she insisted that she wants to have only one of that with all those qualities. She was about to say 6th one, she didn't say it, about to say 6th one apparently. She was stopped right there. You have enough already. So, when the story, of course, you all may knowing. When Arjuna, after winning, he says, I brought some boots, I brought something. And the Kunti says, you all have to share whatever you bring. That's her philosophy. Without realizing that it is the girl that they brought. But anyway, that Krishna justifies that it is because she asked those 5 together, and one cannot get together in one. Therefore, because you are insulting the Lord Shiva in a way, you have to bear, these are 5. Dharmaraja is the greatest dharmic person, Bhima is the greatest, the most strong, and Arjuna is the greatest person. Each one of those attributes you ask her, each one has it, everything. All the 5 he gave you. So she has to end up having 5 husbands, but that is a story part. We can make rest of the philosophical way. Is there any other philosophical discussion in anywhere? No. Since you ask me, I am going to create one. You can take it or leave it. So this 5 aspects of which that I glorify, that totality itself is expressed in 5 personalities of myself. And in that I can see myself in all those things too. So Draupadi is essentially Prakriti and the Purusha expressing in all these things. Together is what is that marriage is. I don't know if you know, if you go to a temple, there are all Srinivasa Kalyanam, they do that. If you go to temple, Srinivasa Kalyanam or Rama Kalyanam. Why Lord wants to marry? Lord doesn't need to marry, Lord is already married. Then why are you performing? The performing is, this is the Purusha, Prakriti together is always there. So when I perform the marriage, it's not the marriage, I am conceptualizing the marriage of the Lord with the Prakriti. Prakritim Purusham Chaiva Vijyanadi. Anadi, because the beginningless itself is there, this Maya and the Lord Himself projecting the entire universe. Without Maya, I cannot recognize the Purusha. Without the mind, I cannot recognize the consciousness that is enlivening the mind. Purusha, Prakriti always together. But if I respect the Prakriti as Devi, my reverential attitude towards the nature also changes. I don't take things granted and I don't abuse the nature. This is also marriage of even a human being also. Dharmecha, arthecha, kamecha, nati charami. That's what you do when you go around. You don't say mukshesha there. But that is individual. But for dharma only I am going. And each step you do, you promise. Whether you keep those promises or not. You may not know what you are promising also. But that's exactly what. She also promises. That is a marriage of that which is starting from Prakritim Purusham Chaiva, where Prakriti and Purusha always together in the creation itself. You cannot, they are inseparable. And this is what also in terms of Draupadi is essentially wearing the fire, is what the whole Mahabharata. Without Draupadi there is no Mahabharata war also. Remember? Draupadi Vastrapaharanam and all that. In the Draupadi, this is a Draupadi Saranagati. In the Vaishnava tradition, the Saranagati is emphasized. Remember, Vibhishana Saranagati and Draupadi is also Saranagati. So there, as when they are stripping her, she was holding with one hand the sari, and then no Krishna, Krishna, no Krishna comes. Only she left both hands and said, oh Lord. Then only Lord came. So as long as there is a Purusha, Prayatnam is there, Lord is just waiting there. Upadrashthanamanta cha bharta bhokta maheshwaraha. Says in the Upanishad, in the Bhagavad Gita, it says, I am behind you, right there, waiting for you to turn. But as long as you are holding something else, I won't come. Because I am holding, this also gives me happiness, that also gives me happiness. Vedanta only weekend times, the rest of the time I am busy with so many things and all that. You want to hold on to this for happiness and you want to come to this one only for the weekends to weaken yourself. No, that will not happen. So that is essentially Saranagati, which is emphasized in the Visishtadvaita, where they think that I am surrendering completely, where Advaita says surrender only occurs once. Once you surrender, you cannot surrender again. That means you are not surrendered before. Right? People say, the Arati, we say, what do we say in Arati? I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am not, everything is you. Every day you say the same thing again. Once it says yours, then you cannot take it back to tell again next time. That means this fellow is not even given it. He is only threatening to give it every time. So therefore, surrenderance is what? What does I surrender really? You know, we talk about Tyage naike amrutatva manasu, na karmana na prajaya dharena tyage naike amrutatvam. Only by tyaga only you can realize the amrutatvam. What is that tyagam? That I am a mortal has to be resolved for me to reach the amrutatva. As long as I think I am the body, mind and intellect, I am going to be mortal. When I give up that, then only that is the real surrenderance of the ahankara that is going on. So, the Draupadi explanation, we can give some philosophical explanations, but whole Mahabharata is meant for Bhagavad Gita, ultimately. Those who are interested, I have written an article in my website. There is a website, www.Advaita Forum. That's where all my articles are. www.Advaita Forum. These are the guys who are really doing all that, Jay and Sunil and all that. But there is an article on historicity of Mahabharata. You want to give up, but actually it's going to be in the book form also. We are trying to get a book. Is anybody here who can really edit? Please come and see me, because we are trying to see if anybody can find mistakes of English and all that, just to make sure, because Advaita Academy is ready to publish it. And Anjali, same Anjali who is also involved in the live stream, is doing the transliteration to make sure that all the Sanskrit slokas are properly transliterated using in-trans scheme. But we also want someone who can just go through to make sure there is no grammatical errors or obvious errors before it's published, because you don't want errors to be published, that's all. So if anyone wants to volunteer, we are welcome to. It is a discussions on Advaita Vedanta, where I have been member of so many other people who ask questions just like this, and I have answers. And one person has collected all my answers for the past 10 years. This is almost like 10 years ago. He has collected 10 years previously once. And that, he has done chronologically, and I have put it in the subject wise, and it runs almost like 600 pages. These are discussions on various topics. You can name it, there is there. So if anyone can volunteer to go through even portions of it, you will be doing a great service. Okay, let's get back to this. What is Zen Buddhism? My son is meditating while eyes are open. When I learned our traditional way, how can I correlate? What's wrong with opening the eyes? If the God is only when I close my eyes, when I say consciousness is only when I close my eyes, then when I open eyes, there is no consciousness. So meditation, only I am closing my eyes so that I don't want to unnecessarily get disturbed with what I see. But nididhyasanam involves whether I open my eyes or I open my eyes, I should see that truth. So nididhyasanam, only explained is I told you the explanation of the Sureshwaracharya. That what is that? Constant remembrance of that knowledge anywhere, wherever you are transacting. You have to transact with open eyes only. So real meditation is whether I close my eyes or not, whether I think or not, whether I do anything or not, whether I think all transactions or not, it is there behind, as in the Indian music there is a Shruti going on. Shruti box, all singing going on, but within the Shruti. Shruti is also scriptures. So with the scriptural knowledge behind, I can play the game any way I want, yet within the dharma. Shruti tells you first thing is dharma, not adharmic way. So with that I can play life as a beautiful game. So I really don't know what is Zen Buddhism, but there are some stories I heard. It's very good, but it's one story is about the disciple. One disciple has said, I want to learn, but I want to learn. He heard this sloka. So you remember, Parikshalokan karmachitan brahmano nirvena mayanascha krutena tad vijnanartam sa gurumeva abhigachet. So triyam brahmanishtam. So I have to go to a teacher. What kind of teacher? Who is Sotriyam and Brahmanishta, who is realized person and who knows the Shastras. That's what it says. So I want to find an ideal teacher. So he has what is that tables that you get? What is the program anyway? You have different tables. I forget suddenly. So he has altered. These are the qualifications of a teacher should have. Outline. And he is looking for teachers who satisfy all those requirements and cannot find anyone. If he has one of that, he may not be other. At last he found one teacher who fulfills everything, tick, 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 all the way. And he went to that teacher and told him flatly, I have been looking for an ideal teacher and these are my requirements. I could not find anyone who meets that other than you. So I want to learn from you. Says, really? That's very good. But I have a policy. We have to have a ritual for that, becoming a disciple. Come with me. So he take him to a well. There is in the bathroom. There is a well there. So you can that well. There is a water there. All you have to do is you have to take bath with that water. Then you get purified. And you have to use that bucket there. And he looked at the bucket. There's a bucket, but there's no bottom for the bucket. So use that bucket, take the water out, and take the bath and come to me. You look at the teacher, he looked at the bucket. So how can I take water in the bottomless bucket? Then he looked at the student and says, you are looking for an ideal teacher, but before that, you have to become an ideal student. Don't I know that there is no bottom there? I am trying to question whether you are qualified enough to be a disciple, because you need a discipline first. That's what a disciple is. And that is first required. When you are ready, appropriate teacher shall come to you. Gurudev used to say, a flower does not have to go in search of a bee. When the flower is ready to bloom, bee shall come there. That is the law of nature. When I am ready, I will discover he is my teacher because of whom I am able to learn. He is the teacher. And I told you, what is the right teacher? A teacher is the one who himself learned from his teacher and provides Shastra as a pramana, not him as the authority. That is the right teacher. One discovers. So what is Zen Buddhism? I don't know. But a lot of stories about Zen Buddhism one knows. My son is meditating well. So one can meditate, but until I know how to meditate, you have to follow the rules. You have a clear place, a clean place, where you have an Ishta Devata in front and environment conducive. Use agarbattis and all that. All sensuous enjoyment, seeing things and smelling things are all indicative of that direction, so that the mind doesn't run away anywhere else. So that when I sit in the seat of meditation, only the noble thoughts about the Lord. Until Jagada Isha Dehi Yukta Sevanam Ashtamurti Book Deva Pujan. This is from the Upadishasara. Brahma Maharshi says, when I can see the Lord everywhere, Jagadaha Isha Dehi, the world itself is Ishvara himself in various names and forms, then I cannot but serve the Lord everywhere. That becomes the knowledge. Until then, this is a practice. If the Lord is everywhere, why do I need a temple? Of course, you don't need a temple if I can see the Lord everywhere, because you will see the temple everywhere. But until then, I need a temple. I need a place of worship, and all that is important. Therefore, until I can meditate properly and understand what exactly is meditation, this is important. But before that, you can meditate on anything. But one should know what I am meditating on. So I am going to give a lot of talks on meditation itself. We were trying to do, but on the live stream only, I am going to give a series of talks which will be recorded for those who are interested later. And what exactly involves meditation, and also in the end up with Vedantic meditation. Any reference where slokas are in English? Sloka is Sanskrit word. But there are a lot of transliterations as well as the explanations of all the slokas are there. So every Upanishad, there are commentaries and the explanations by Ramakrishna Paramahansa, Ramakrishna Mission has done exhaustive service, and Gambhirananda has done many Upanishads also. I'm not sure in this also there is. So here actually Swami Madhvananda's Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, there is several mantras are already there in English also. You don't call them slokas, you call them, the explanation. Explain how existent and consciousness are one. Okay, this is Satta eva chit, chittayahayam aham chitta. This is in the, again, Upadesara. I mentioned Upadesara I'm going to take in New York also. I took it here a long time ago, but there are audio tapes available in the Chinmaya Mission website. My tapes are there on Ramana Maharshi's Upadesara. But explain how existent and consciousness are one and the same. Number one, consciousness. Let's take consciousness. Consciousness. Are we talking about existent consciousness or non-existent consciousness? If you are talking about existent consciousness, the consciousness exists, has to exist. If non-existent consciousness, we don't need to talk about it. So therefore, consciousness has to exist. Now the question is, that consciousness, that is there unconscious existence also? This is where the scripture becomes a pramana. It says, Brahman is defined because of this question only, that it says Prajnanam Brahma. Consciousness is not limited, it is infinite. So therefore consciousness that exists has to be infinite, so therefore existence cannot be different from consciousness. Right? That's a simple logic. But don't think that that is simple because big acharyas said no, that's not. Because some acharya says there are within the total Brahman, there are neither sajati, there are no sajati, vijati Vedas, but there can be swagata Vedas. Internal differences can exist where some are jadam, some are conscious entity, all together part of total Brahman. This is what Bhagavan Ramanuja says. It's called Visishta Advaita. So just because I said it's logical, the explanations are given. From his point, the total Brahman is only one. There is Advaita. But in that Advaita, just like Virata Purusha in the 11th chapter, he is total. But in that there are a lot of jivas. You see a lot of pictures are going. A lot of people are going into his mouth and coming out also. But there are all different pictures of, you see, one side gods and one side devils also. Right? All are in him only, that's what you're showing. So that can be parted internally, is part of the Visishtadvaitic tradition. For us, Advaita, our Brahman is beyond even that. Beyond Prakriti and Purusha, beyond that which is that, because of which nothing else can be told about it. So that is abedha type. There is no beda, there is no differences of any kind, because the scripture has both bedavakyam and abedavakyam. That's the problem. Where bedavakyam is differentiating this and that, everything. Natvevaham jatumasam, natvam neme janadipaha, nachaiva nabhavishyamaha. Sarveva yamatah param, right? In the second chapter comes. What does he say? Krishna says. This is what Ramanuja is taking that shloka. Neither I was there, there was never a time, I was not there, never a time, you are not there, never a time, all these kings that are there, everybody was there from the beginning. Therefore everybody was there as this one different, all their internal differences are there. Where did he say, I am you in that whole Bhagavad Gita? Right? So, explanations do differ. But where does it say whole? Just now we are reading the Advaita philosophy. It says Sarvam Atma Eva. Yeah? So one has to be careful to whom you listen to also. But existent consciousness can only be together, because Prajnanam Brahma is the Mahavakya of the statement of the Upanishad that says all Brahman, infinite, is consciousness, that is existent consciousness only. Therefore, that consciousness, Chit, has to be Sat only. And it is Ekameva Advitiyam. And in different scriptures, how did origination also is given? Even in this also it is given. Says, from existence only whole thing came, in one Upanishad says. That's Khandogya says. From Atma only everything came, in another Upanishad says. Are they two different? No, Atma is same as existence, same as, because all are equated. That's called Samanvayam. Tattu Samanvayat is the Brahma Sutra, third sutra comes and says Tattu Samanvayat. You have to make sure a coherent statement out of all these things. Don't say this one says composite, opposite, or no. It is telling to different purpose, different directions, but there is a coherency. Self-consistency is what has to be extracted. That's why Bhashyas and Sutras are all there. Okay? I hope that. Okay. In patients with all my disease or patients in coma, there is no mind. Then Chidabhasa. Chidabhasa is in the is it life force? What happens in the deep sleep state? There is no mind. Is there a life there or not? There is a life. So what is really in the deep sleep state is, the mind is only folded in a subtle form. It's not there. If it's completely gone, then he has to start all over from the beginning, all these studies again. So a chemistry professor, when he goes to deep sleep state, his mind of chemistry that contains is only folded in a subtle form. When he wakes up, all that knowledge will come back to him. With the same mind, same problems also, same wife, same husband also, right? So, it's only, it's called in a subtle form, a folded form, not that absence of the mind. Therefore, when I get up in the morning, I say, I slept well. Who slept? Who is saying? The mind is saying. But the mind was not there. Is it an inferential statement, or is it an experiential statement, or is it what kind of statement is that? From the point of the mind who is making a statement, it is an inferential statement. But at the same time, the mind knows that I was not there. How? There is a gap of knowledge. So looking at, I don't know how many people know Watergate's case. There is 18.5 minutes gap of Nixon. It's like that. There's so many minutes of gap in the tape of recording. That gap itself is the experience of the absence of the duality. Follow? That is experiences I enjoyed, but I don't know what. And I don't know that I don't know also at that time. Because the mind only knows what knows and what knows. So mind is only in a subtlest form in that. That's what is the mind will never disappear as long as the subtle body is there. So even in the coma, it's only in the state of subtleness only. All vasanas, all problems, everything are there only, but cannot express itself out because it's in the subtle form. So life force is there all the time. As long as the subtle body is there, life force will be there also. With that, questions and answers are over.